Thank you for coming. Good to have you all here. My name is Stephen Fraley. I'm the chair of the photography and video program at the School of Visual Arts. As I like to say, good old School of Visual Arts. A couple of people I'd like to thank. I'd particularly like to thank Maria Dubon, who is the coordinator of special projects here at the department. I want to thank her for all her hard work in putting this evening together. And also I want to thank Laura Mintz, who is employed by Phaidon, and still employed, I think. Yeah. I don't know why I said that, but there's nothing to it. Allow me, please, to introduce our two conversationalists this evening. First, Alix Browne. Alix Browne is the features director of W Magazine. She was the founding editor of V Magazine. She graduated, she doesn't want me to say this, but I love saying it. She graduated magna cum laude from Harvard College. At least that's what she tells us. And we believe her, and is on the faculty of the graduate program in fashion photography here at SVA. Kevin Amato probably needs no introduction, but he is the founder of the agency Mother Division, and he worked closely with Hood by Air as casting director, stylist, and photographer from 2007 to 2014. He has also collaborated with V-Files, Calvin Klein, Opening Ceremony. He is a graduate of the School of Visual Arts from, I believe, 2003. And his work has been featured in The Guardian, in Complex, Dazed and Confused, Mashable, GQ, Interview, New York Magazine, and Out, among many other prestigious publications. Please join us after the conversation for a glass of champagne, and Kevin will also do a signing of his new book called The Importance. So, without any further delay, please welcome Alix and Kevin.
You start.
Okay, I'll start. So here we are at the SVA Theater. Your name is in lights outside on the marquee, and your pictures are here. Being shown, projected very large behind us. When you were a student at SVA, did you ever imagine that this day would come?
Never.
Why not?
I didn't even get into the mentor show. Where's Steven?
I was wondering that.
Oh.
We're trying to make it up to you.
This is it. This definitely made up for it.
What kind of student were you at SVA?
I think I was disruptive. Steve. Well, I think, Sarah Friedman doesn't teach at SVA anymore. But she was, my mentor, teacher. She was, I think, super tough, super technical, everything I'm not. And I think she taught me the ropes, hands down. Like, when I think SVA, I think of Sarah Friedman. And I think of actual dark rooms.
And what kind of work were you making at the time?
I believe it was called Offensive.
How so?
Well,
Or why?
I don't know. It just wasn't refined enough. It wasn't aesthetically composed was a word. And then I remember Tim Mall ripped up one of my photos and said it was too grainy.
And how did you respond to that criticism?
I made my thesis all grainy photos, which sold really well, and got me my first shoot for Interview magazine.
So what's your takeaway from being a student there and what it takes to get through that program?
Don't depend on anybody to give you or help you or teach you anything. You have to go out and find it for yourself. And it's, like, if you don't put it out there, nobody's going to come and give it to you.
And so how does that compare to the kind of work you're doing now as a photographer?
I think staying loyal and true to what I've always done is now, made me successful. And not listening to what, I think Stephen always, as SVA always pushes, be yourself. Definitely less of a commercial push. Like schools like Parsons, I think are a bit more like commercial. SVA is definitely more technical, being loyal aesthetically, and I think that's like the key factor is just staying true to your aesthetic and just be happy, be healthy, and do what you love, and eventually people will pick up on it.
Well, let's talk about some of the work that's in this book. It's in fact a mix of commissioned work and personal work, although in a lot of instances it's very difficult to tell the difference. Is there a difference for you?
For me, there is no difference. I approach, I think, every job subject the same, but I do understand we're always selling something, whether it's a product, an emotion, some sort of social activism statement. We're always there's always has to be a narrative and some sort of we're communicators, so communicating something, but it's not about the dollar sign or.
And do you approach assigned work and your personal work the same way, or do you shoot differently when you're on commission?
The same, but I mean,
Can you
like
describe that process?
just like 10 cameras hanging on my neck, walking into a shoot and just going crazy. My assistant probably wears 6 of them and then hands them to me back and forth. But also, you have clients that want to see, they have egos. So clients will spend $10,000 on equipment they know I'm not even going to use just to have it on set, to look, they think I guess they magically, those useless lights make things more heavy production-wise. So it looks good, I guess, for the client and for the art director. And they don't think I'm there to, deliver a package or something.
Well, I know.
When I shot Chris Brown, he was like, we're shooting. He's like, oh, so when's the photographer going to get here? I'm like, oh, the shoot's over now. Thank you.
Well, I think perception is a very powerful force, and that a client who has a big budget wants to feel like their money is being put to good use, even if ultimately you're not even going to use any of the equipment or any of the sort of production facilities that they provide you that give the shoot the sort of vibe of a big fashion shoot.
Right. But it's all like a false sense of. For me, the technical is just the relationship you build with the subject.
Well, how do you do that? How do you establish this sort of level of intimacy with people who you've never met before? You walk into a room and you want to get these pictures out of them. How do you do that? How do you go about that?
That's a good question. It's just, I think, being myself. I'm definitely like a type A, kind of kooky personality. Very cab.
Do you want to show your tattoo?
Which one?
That one. Oh, which, sorry.
Oh, the say cheese.
The finger tattoo.
Yeah. It's about being inviting. It's about being accessible, transparent, and I think building an honest relationship, but not just for one shoot. Like you shoot the album, but they're performing. Oh, I'd love to shoot you backstage. Building a relationship that's intimate, and I think access is the key to all of my work.
Now, photography is only one of the things that you do. You have your casting agency, and you've also started a magazine. Do you want to talk about how those things are all related?
Yeah, I think everything from the importance to Womb, the magazine, and Mother it's about giving back, I think, to the young people that have helped me create my career, by, giving me the trust, the creative freedom to work with them, and then I could reciprocate that. And I think Mother is also about helping people continue from being a model, but using everything they see and learn on set, or we see lighting and styling and all the production. Learning from that, you could go anywhere in this industry, and I think starting from the beginning is this industry is hard. It's not easy. So any support you could get is important because, your family doesn't get it. Like, nobody gets it. Your friends don't get it. It's not, it's like very hard. So I think support and reciprocating what I was able to do that's now like socially acceptable, it's important to give back.
Community building seems to be a big part of what you do, and I think that was a big part of Hood by Air when it began. And if the names of your various side projects are any indication, you have Mother, you have Womb, you have a very sort of nurturing sense to yourself that gets expressed through everything that you do, be it your pictures or your casting or this magazine that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's about, well, I'm an Italian. I mean, it's about family. It's about family, extended family, the tribes we build. I mean, people come from all over to work in New York, and there is no support. I mean, it's like it's literally I mean, you've been in this industry for quite a while.
Yes, I have.
A scholar.
Thanks for pointing that out.
A scholar as well, a Harvard scholar. And I'm sure for you, you could say equally, it's just very difficult,
Yeah, you have to find your people for sure in this town.
Yeah, and it's finding your people and finding your aesthetic that people recognize as you. There's no unwavering like sacrifice over compromise. You're not going to eat a lot of times. You're not going to sleep. You're going to miss birthdays and you're going to miss a lot of things. Like, it's not if you want to end up being a commercial artist and settle somewhere else, and I think it's great, but in this industry or really anything where you really want to do something different and excel, you have to be willing to make sacrifices and willing to struggle. I mean, I come from a great family, middle class, but the struggle was always there, But you could be doing anything. You could be, a family, a writer, whatever you do, you should always be happy, healthy, love it, and that's the ticket. But I think in this situation, it's a bit more challenging because I think there's always somebody behind you, there's always somebody in front of you, and you're always considered disposable unless you maintain relevancy, making change and bringing new ideas, discovering new talent, and so on.
There's been talk, especially in this sort of era of Hood by Air, of the sort of the changing landscape or the changing face of fashion. Can you talk a little bit about your participation in that, and also if you really think that the landscape of fashion is in fact evolving?
Yeah, that's like the press question of the week. I don't think fashion is always evolving. Like what's happening now has happened before with Gaultier, with like Harmony Korine. Like, it's not like street casting isn't brand new. Like, when people credit me for it, it's like they just don't they didn't go to Harvard. No, but I think what we're doing is different in the sense that it's not just street casting. It's bringing people that are underrepresented in fashion, who are probably the biggest market-wise, refining it, making it expensive, and being able to put it on the runway. But I don't know. It's kind of a tough. I guess fashion's changed. It's like fashion's whatever. I don't really care about fashion.
Well,
Fashion pays the bills. It's like, I think Hood by Air, it started as something, for me, it was a platform to give these people, that I found that I was already photographing, a way to return the favor. Agencies wouldn't give us models because the clothes were just too crazy. It was wild. It was new. It was not, Shane's in it, like one of the first African American designers on the LVMH. Working together as a team was a great platform, and it was inclusive, and it was about this multicultural family, you know, not as, now I think it's more isolated, where I think when I was more involved, it was about inclusive everybody. You know, it wasn't about scaring people away, it was about bringing people in. You know, so my choice to end working was because of that. You know, I'm not like a mean girl, you know? It's just, you know.
Going back to what you said about you were bringing people in who you were already shooting, and there were sort of people that you recognized, and people, they recognize yourself in them, or people that lived in your neighborhood, kids that lived in your neighborhood. In what, I want to show this one image from the book that really struck me, because, you know, I sort of came of fashion age in the 90s, which are, as everyone is aware, kind of hot again. And when I saw this image, I was really, it really reminded me of that Corinne Day shoot of Kate Moss that was published in British Vogue, and what sort of an uproar it caused. People thought that, you know, the pictures were degenerate, and she looked like she was on drugs, and, you know, she has flat-chested like a boy, and she was in her underwear in her apartment, and it caused an amazing amount of controversy in the press at sort of high levels of government. And this image really struck me as sort of that Corinne Day 2.0. It's like, imagine if Kate Moss had been a boy. Is it a? I'm gonna be offensive. It's a
girl that
identifies boy.
Right, but dressed as a girl.
Dressed as a girl.
Right.
And
she looks like Tyga.
Yeah. And Corinne Day's whole thing was that she wanted to see models in fashion magazines that looked like girls that she knew. And right. You're showing us images of people that they don't necessarily look exactly like you, but who are more sort of in the types of people that you see in the neighborhood that you live in. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, for this, to me, it's always about pushing boundaries, you know, bringing people out of their comfort zone. So somebody like, I mean, for her, putting on a skirt, this is like, you know, she's a woman, she identifies as a male, but putting on a skirt, ruffled socks, that to me took her out of her comfort zone. And it's not about, you know, some people might just think transgender is the comfort zone. That's normalcy, you know what I mean? Like, that's normal. Like, this is taking it out of the comfort zone. So when I see, like, you know, like transgender models on the runway or in campaigns, I mean, to consider that like groundbreaking is just insulting. You know, I got an interview yesterday. Hope they're not here. But it was like, how many transgender models did you cast this season? It was like, I don't know. It's not like I don't do like, you know, male, female, transgender, like check the list. It's like that's how you know who's authentic and who's doing it, you know, just for the injustice and just for the money.
Yeah, because that has become a trend in fashion. Like, fashion really turns everything into a trend, for better or for worse.
For worse. Oh, Jason, nice to show up. I actually met Shane through Jason.
Yeah.
Iconic. Give him his moment. I love him.
One thing that struck me, I was reading about this Womb, this magazine that you launched, which is for young people, by young people, is that you select the contributors and then you give them disposable cameras. Why?
Well, it started with send me pictures, and then it was like teaching what high res, and it became like a technical, you know, it became like the Womb Academy, which I just wasn't ready for. I mean, I think it could definitely get there, and that would be amazing.
Sorry, Steven, competition.
No, he's way behind me. So, what? No, I'm kidding. He got the tuition. He don't care. So, no, I mean, for me, Womb is that. It became a lot. It was way more than I expected.
Mm-hmm. But is there something to be said about, you were talking about experience and how you feel like kids live so virtually now that they're missing out on a lot of experiences. And do you feel that shooting film is a way to reconnect?
Yeah, I mean, anything tactile that you could touch and hold is, I mean, that's that's, I think, what everybody wants, right? It's like I mean, it's crazy to me that we look at a computer screen and we could think that's like, it all looks the same. Like, white balances are calibrated, colors are calibrated, there's no happy mistakes. Like, how many times have you shot a roll of film and maybe 10 of those images are fucked up and amazing? Whether it's a light
Or just fucked up.
Or just fucked up. Right, but there's no, if you know what you're getting, then it's not as fun. I think it's part of the process, is part of the discovery and kind of like not knowing what you're going to get.
But is that hard for you working with commercial clients or, commissions?
My
where
pictures are blurry, digital, not digital. It doesn't even.
Well,
I'm not
more the
technical.
idea that they
No, I'm just
that
kidding.
they can only know what they're going to get within a certain degree. There's always that question.
Just the advice is, when you shoot digital, the client is up your ass. When you shoot film, they're like, "You're amazing, you're shooting film," and they don't bother you. So, when you're able to get those budgets, because that's the thing too, it's time and budget when it comes to film. But to me, looking at a blue screen for, like Tumblr, it's like, there's no credit, nobody's credited appropriately. There's no source to the work unless you do 400 links. And, Womb for me was, I find these artists that submit the work, and then I give them a topic, a phrase, a subject, give them the disposable, and they go out and shoot and create their own narrative. There's really no direction. And then it's like, send me the film, we process it, edit together, and they get their negatives back. And it's like, they own their images, everything's theirs. We just help, facilitate the process and promote, as much as we can. And I think it's important too for me to, for what I do, it's always to bring something new, but also something that's, I think, accepting for everybody, accessible for everybody. So you might not be a photographer, like you might be a singer who just took one good photo that I liked, and, maybe why don't you try shooting this, for example? Like, I think it's just an opportunity for young people to explore different creative, outlets, but have an actual physical, throw it in your pocket, throw it in the garbage, do whatever. But, you could own it. It's yours. You can hold it. Like, for a computer, it's like, there's no emotional connection between myself and a computer screen, if that makes any sense.
Well, we feel like we have these communities, but they're virtual communities, and you don't really necessarily know the people unless they're your friends that you're following on Instagram. But
Yeah, I mean,
you're only seeing what people are putting out there.
Yeah, and is it their real work? It's still, I think the internet is an adolescent. For me, it's maybe more, for me, it's a means of unity, like global unity. It's not about, I think as far as like art, it's not like, it just doesn't do anything for me. It's hard. I'm trying not to be too, because I know everybody does digital. I'm trying to like respect that. But it's not, it's convenient, right? That's a nice way to put it.
What was the editing process like to
But
make
I
this
do
book?
think the internet, like, unity, but like in global striking, bigger things, that's more where it's still in the adolescent phase. I think there's more important things with the internet we haven't even touched yet.
What was the editing process like putting this book together? Like the title is The Importance, but that doesn't necessarily refer to the images, but rather your subjects.
Yeah,
if
the
I'm not
title
mistaken.
is the title is about the subjects. The subjects are the important, because again, without I think the subject matter and the trust and access they give me, I don't think my work would be anything what it is, right? So it's homage to them. And my process is all basically family albums. So all my work is archived in family albums. So it's almost like referencing, these different shoots, moments. Everything's a story, a narrative. So it's basically editing through family albums and choosing the photos. And then I think my work is about family, extended family. So it keeps it personal to me, And again, printed, not digital. I mean,
Never
do you
shoot
have a
digital?
digital photo album?
No. I print them out.
That's just called like a file, right? Yeah.
But-
Oh no, you have the snap books, fish. Those books you can get printed out now.
I always print out the pictures and make little books when I have a critical mass of pictures.
And you
But Phaidon doesn't publish them. That's the difference. But no, but I recall at the beginning of the process there were like 800 pictures that got eventually narrowed down to 200.
Where's Billy?
Deb would know.
Deb would know.
Or Billy would know.
Bridget would know.
Bridget, how many pictures are in
Bridget
the book?
went through it crazy with me.
200, 240. But was it like pulling your
How'd we do?
fingernails out?
I was married to a few images. Oh yeah, they would say, we want this, 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 and this. And then I'd be like, oh wait, but here's 100 more pictures. That's what I...
One thing that struck me though is that
But I shoot a lot.
you were very careful to include or to only include pictures that were sort of family friendly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why is that?
Accessibility, yeah. And I think my first book was like a light launch, very small release. And then there were kids that were like 12 years old, like, and then people up to like 60s. And I just wanted to be accessible for everyone. I didn't want like moms like emailing me like nudity, drugs, sex. I won't go. I could keep
You
going.
you shoot these things, and these is stuff that happens in your neighborhood. But are there
Well, it happens in everybody's life.
where do you draw the line? Are there some subjects that you don't feel are
I don't shoot
worthy?
guns. I don't like guns. I don't like promoting like the Army, the Navy, Marine. Like I don't. Those are things I don't. Like I think maybe the Army's called me a few times for campaigns. Do they call them campaigns, or can I say propaganda? Like,
I think campaign is probably appropriate.
yeah, I smoke cigarettes. I would. Kids are always smoking. I don't know if I would shoot a cigarette. Like, only
There are
because
people smoking in some of your pictures. I don't know
right,
if they're
but
cigarettes.
as far as selling the product and knowing that my fan base is young and I'm endorsing like the campaign, then I know the client's using me to, to reach like a younger audience. So I wouldn't do that. Of course, kids smoke. Kids do fucking crazy things.
Who are you pointing at?
The kids. No, but yeah, I think guns is a real, like I'm anti like guns 100%. And I can't even tell you how many, Eli, my assistant, will tell you, I think in every shoot there's probably like a gun. Every hip hop artist, New Orleans, yeah, it's like there's a lot. You see guns like more than I would ever want to, yeah.
You had told me you'd had some interesting experiences with some fashion brands that didn't take too kindly to the way that you were shooting their clothes.
Can I say who? Off mic.
Maybe not. Maybe we shouldn't say who, but because that's sort of not relevant. But I feel like
It's
the
relevant
point
now
is
because
that
they're doing it.
the point is that there's this sort of
Yeah,
talk about sort of wanting to go there, but then when someone actually takes your clothes and puts them in a situation they don't actually
I mean, the
like
weird
it.
thing is it's only like 4 or 5 years ago.
Do you want to just describe what happened?
Well, yeah, I was commissioned to shoot a campaign for a high fashion brand, and used all boys of color, and the brand banned me for like a year, almost 2 seasons. Couldn't shoot campaigns, couldn't shoot editorials. I couldn't even wear the shit, like for real. And they made those cute little robot keychains. I wanted one. Oh, did I just give away who it was?
Lots of people made robot keychains.
Okay, good. No, I'm not. I have nada to say.
But I don't know. I find that that's an interesting sort of phenomenon in fashion. It's that it's sort of supposed to be this industry about creative freedom, and yet there still seems to be a lot of micromanagement involved in the way that you can shoot the clothes or who you can shoot them on.
I was off-brand. That was the off-brand.
But this was a campaign for them. It was commissioned work.
Well, yeah, and it's like people just send me clothes, let me do my own thing. And I think when you work with me, you expect to be surprised. It's my work. I think is always always has to be some sort of social, conscious like move. I mean, I didn't think it was wasn't even trying to be disruptive. Like I did a shoot for like Spike Lee and for something, and I shot all like models with albinism. Okay, that was me being, that's me coming for you.
How did that come across?
What do you mean? Like,
Well, how was that received?
I think I'm like, I get emails from his company, and you get in like the subject that says blacklisted. When you get those emails.
I don't think I've ever gotten one, but
Oh, you have to write, and then they'll put you on the whitelisted, which is ironic because it was like a reverse race, like like white people in black, but I was black. It's.
My point is that I feel very naive when I hear these things still happen in this day and age when we're supposed to be so open-minded and open to, people of different genders and races and cultures and creeds, and fashion is supposed to be sort of the great mirror of contemporary culture.
Well, for me, it's like fashion is so global. It's so worldly, but it's not about it's about function. It's about like protection. It's about coding and armor. It's not about just about style, right? Or status, I think brands who claim like, oh, we're for the street, we're for the youth, but buy the $5,000 T-shirt. Like Kanye.
The sort of abundance of $2,000 hoodies is very problematic to me, but
if they're paying for it, I guess. The face. Well, we had this conversation many of times about being accessible, and sometimes not being accessible is, could benefit a brand tremendously. Like Vetmont, I think they are very disruptive, and I think people understand their disruption. But when it comes to them doing Balenciaga, it's a completely different story. It's not as acceptable because it's not considered accepted as, oh, they're young, in a sense. Well, Balenciaga is like an older fashion house, and same design team, but like completely
different budget.
Very different budget. That's true.
But I think a lot of people would interpret your work as being rather challenging, but you talk about it as being accessible. Can you sort of stand back
I don't know, because
from it and sort of see it in that context?
But when I first met you, you were like, no, this is a lot. These people are very different and crazy. This world is yours. And I was like, what do you mean? Remember?
Yes, I do.
And then I was like, oh shit, maybe that's why I'm like this. Like, you know, like, but I think I surround myself with like this type A, like I'm a magnet to it. I think, well, one, I'm accepting anybody, you know, and I think finding like an interesting person is like you could just learn so much more about different people and different cultures and that's why I love the Bronx too, because it's so loyal to their like ancestral cultural roots, as opposed to, you know, like this, you know, you move to America and you become American, you know, like it's not. I mean, you know, it's somewhat, I think, in Italian culture similar, but you know, it's kind of like you just leave, you know, your ancestry and your history behind, and I think that's where your soul and your whole body, like everything, comes from that. Like even the way you learn to dance as like a kid, like, you know, that's your
A phrase
Rather
that I
for Eli.
a phrase that I've heard with regard to your work quite a lot is the feminization of thug culture.
Oh, they love that. Apparently, I'm the reason why, you know, everybody that's
But what does that mean
urban
to
is
you? And
homosexual.
you don't seem very.
No, it's because you put, you know, people. There are kids in Brooklyn that have never been to Manhattan. You know what I mean? That's that's more of the goal. It's not about feminizing masculine. You know what I mean? It's about taking people out of their comfort zones, but maybe their comfort zones are limiting their, like, they can't grow. It's like you're not who you want to be. Like you're who you think you're supposed to be. And I think it's important for, you know, you tell everyone, be who you are, not who you think you should be. And I think a lot of these kids, when they see my work and they relate to it, whether it's through the fashion or, you know, now you go through the hood, I mean, kids are painting their fingernails. It's not like ASAP Rocky, like when I first put him down the runway. You know, I mean, he's super, you know, everybody knows, you know, he's masculine. Like, he's ASAP Rocky, like, big rapper. But for me, putting him down the runway, I wouldn't do it without Boy Child going down that same runway. Because that, for me, counterbalanced the masculine and the feminine aspect of the show and made it more meaningful. Otherwise, you're just putting a celebrity, you know, down the runway, which is like just a marketing stunt. You know, there's no narrative to it. There's no social like statement, you know. Which, I mean, it's still cool, but for me, I don't support it. Like there has to be if she wasn't there, like I had to like I think I went to like every lesbian club in San Francisco to find her, like perform, and I found her in like some dungeon. Like she's brilliant, and then yeah, it was like that was an important, very important to have her. Like without the two of them, it just would have been a cop out.
So how does that dichotomy play out in your photography?
I don't think it's about like the masculine feminine thing. I think that's always been going
Binary is so old-fashioned.
on.
Thinking in terms of
I think like I don't think it's anything new. Like I mean, think of like the like pimps. Like that to me is feminine. You know, that to me is like dudes in fur blowing like blunt smoke into each other's mouth. I mean, that's not feminine. I mean, they're still masculine, but it's feminine. I don't think there's anything about, you know, my work. I think maybe because I'm a guy, it seems like softer or feminine. But if maybe you were to shoot it, it wouldn't be considered. So I think it's just about, you know, that, like, you know, kind of a dude shooting a dude with the dog and the whatever. It'll be up there. But, you know, it is important, though, because I think it, you know, and I get emails all the time and calls where kids are, like, super grateful and thankful, almost inviting them into this world and making them feel comfortable with being, not identifying with a gender or, you know, you grew up in the projects of the hood, but you don't feel the need to be masculine. yeah, to defend yourself. Like now, actually, your style is your defense mechanism. You know, like that's your currency. Like how crazy are your dreads? Like how skinny are your jeans? Like it's not. It's like white kids used to love clean shoes and like black kids like it has nothing to do with race. I mean, the dirty clean shoe skateboarder hip hop like it goes back and forth to me. It's like almost like why isn't it just one already? If that makes sense. It's like race is always a tough subject. But I do think, I don't think, to me it's like one, it shouldn't be like marketed, I think, to any gender, race, social class. It has to be accessible. How many, we should do an accessible count.
Do we want to open the floor for questions at this point? Stephen, is this a good time for that? I don't know how to start the slideshow again. That's the problem. Does anyone? Do you want to just click forward through them? Just press that forward button. And then you can change. You can talk about some specific pictures. You can see them here.
These aren't from my phone, right?
No.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, it's a screenshot. Curly hair. Your daughter from that picture. Do you want to talk about them or just look at them?
Well, why don't you just give a one sentence?
This was actually on a photo shoot. We got into a street fight. It was with Robbie Spencer, the fashion director for Dazed and Confused. He was in Poom Poom shorts and like a crop vintage Pink Floyd T-shirt and like thigh-high boots on like
In the Bronx?
180th. Yeah. So that was inevitable.
So the model had to defend his honor?
Yeah. And mine. I took a swing too. They ran behind trees. They were British about it. This was on the way to Coney Island, to the beach, patty cakes. Cute.
Are they friends of yours?
Yeah. This is Luca.
Speak into the microphone, please.
Oh, I was going to do my hip-hop hand. This is Luca Sabat, a model that I discovered about a year or two ago, who's like their supermodel, who's not here, punished. This is Haley Wallen. It's a friend of mine. She's a stylist. She does the Calvin Klein campaigns and a whole bunch of stuff, but she's family. This was just hanging out. Oh, the mushroom children. These were basically, I think, all like interns. But
This is how you cast your interns.
no, this was like this was already happening. I shot this for WAD. And it was supposed to be just a sock story. But they're actually all extremely creative artists in their own right. And I think that being, part of the story is what, I think that was, I just wanted to introduce them to the world.
Where was that picture taken?
That was in Harlem.
In someone's apartment?
And we'll get to them, I think. Let's say. This is Princess Nokia, my favorite. She's like, I don't know, how would you explain her music? Like, she's like Puerto Rican, punk rock, but like, Powerpuff Girl. But she also called me the other day. She's like, you'll never believe it. She goes, Papi, you'll never believe it. I'm Jewish. She's like one of those. Just anything she does is like major. She's fab. This is my friend George, who I've known forever. And we
Grainy.
found... Grainy. always green. Granny. And those fake bootleg Gucci socks with the mask from like 28th Party City. But it's just because like we were in his apartment. It's like, look at that couch. I felt like I was in like Queen Elizabeth's, you know? So it was like that regal, Baroque moment.
Who's that?
Self-explanatory. I mean, suburbs. No, I think this one, this is kind of, you think suburbs, you think parking lots and like, these carts. Like, I don't know, anything in like
Big box store.
big box store, but also anything like in repetition to me is like Warholian, like homage. This was a group of kids that I casted and shot in LA for Joy Rich, the clothing brand. So it's really just like real life and then just put these clothes on. Luke is mad at me for using this picture because that's his ex-girlfriend. And I mean, he was present, so. But it is a great photo, and it's very cinematic to me. Feels like a movie still. And kind of like LIE. Like, I feel like I'm on, like, looking over the Long Island Expressway, and it's super romantic. That was for Off-White. This is Flying Lotus, the DJ producer.
Can you talk about his puppy?
We found the puppy. It was like a brand. We found the puppy. This was for Days, the 2, I think. And I showed up. He said, "I'll be right back. I found a puppy." And he took the puppy out of a box that was filled with like magic mushrooms. So I knew this shoot was going to be crazy. And it was. This is just funny. It's chrome, it's rabbit, braces, googly eyes. That raw braces lip, like, so good. This was at the strip club with Waka Flocka. That was literally just mine.
The
to
cash.
make it rain. They had like it was just stacks and stacks. Princess Nokia again. I made her that Juicy Couture baby blanket. It's cute, but we cut holes in the eyes. But the editor thought it was maybe too like.
KKK.
Yeah, which was the point, but whatever. This is Travis. My muse. I met I actually heard Travis's music, and I think the way he used his style, the way he incorporates like punk, hip hop, and then just the way his message is just
You
abrupt.
love a mongrel.
Yeah. I'm being like R, but not at. But the mouth girl is important. I mean, how many people you know have their initials on their teeth? Well, I know your husband probably. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I know a lot, but yeah, I met Travis. I think he really we hit it off crazy. And then I shot the album, which I think is, one of my proudest moments for sure. But when I heard the music, I knew right away I have to find him, and I just called his people, Mr. West, and got the number and was like, I need to work with him.
Have you ever been asked to shoot someone that you didn't like?
Yeah, I get asked all the time.
And
I don't shoot them. I don't like them. Wait, I did one shoot for my family. What was his name from that show? The Jersey show. Jersey Shore.
you did that for your family?
Well, kind of. I think it's the only shoot I think I ever made a poster for my niece. It was like, I forget the situation. That's who it was. And it was a situation, because I just got my photo from my niece, and then I killed the shoot. Such a headache. He wouldn't let me shoot him with a giant cannoli that my cousin got me, went out of his way. They were like, no abs, nothing Italian. It's like, then okay, like he's meaningless. That's all he is, right? Abs, Italian. Did we see a career going any further than that by a show of hands? Okay, I've been making sure. And I still got paid. This one, this one is Dead Float.
Do you title all of your pictures? Or do you have pet names for them?
Oh my God, I have I have a secret language. You've kind of caught on to it. Because I'll say things you'll be like, What's an example?
Give a good
Give me an
example of a title for a picture. Cookies, Italian cookies.
Oh, Italian cookies? Well, that was literal. Dead float because, listen, when I took the picture, he was just floating, and then we stopped talking, so it's dead. Dead float. Oh, this one I love. I just love it's pastel. Anything pastel. My socks are pastel.
Well, they look like you just washed them with a red shirt.
I don't even do laundry.
Okay, do we want to open the floor to questions?
Marjorie, I took them straight from the showroom for my show tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, what shows have you been working on this week?
I'm working, I did V-Files, the circus, and then, which was incredible, and Band of Outsiders, who relaunched their brand, and it's really, embodies like that whole, all the characters in high school. So my vision for that was like, imagine sitting in the classroom and just like watching the kids. The students walk by when the bell rings, and it's like when the jock and the the freak, when they meet, that meeting point was the moment. That was the casting moment. It's like those. Who was that photographer? Was it who was it that did in the street when they would cross? Was it Eugene?
You're talking about a photographer?
Yeah, aren't there photography majors in here? Steichen? I think it was Edward Steichen. Damn, what the...
So how did that go? How did that come across?
No, I think it worked
how was
really
that
well.
received?
Yeah, I think it was received really well. I think, there's little things that are important to me that probably mean nothing to anybody else. But those little elements is, like, I have to tell a story even in the casting. There's never a filler. I don't just need a model or a pretty face. I think it has to tell, like, a cohesive story because you're branding, an entire company. And a lot of companies, I don't think they understand how important casting is. Especially if it's like, you're really going direct to market.
Well, I think we've gotten to a point where casting used to be, there was a moment with supermodels, and then the models became sort of invisible and interchangeable, and now we're getting back into personalities and sort of looking at the models as people, real people, as we like to say in our industry, as opposed to models, as if they weren't real people. But I think that's sort of one of the big changes that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and I think that I could take some credit into that, but not into like discovering street casting. I think taking.
I never accused you of discovering.
Yeah, don't accuse me of that because, damn, I'm like the enemy of the state now with that. Casting shows now, agents hate me because they think I've ruined their industry. They're like, no, you use the real models. We're not. You use the street, the new models and.
But it's not like models even have a union.
Right, and they should. We finally have laws for like minors, and if you go to Paris, the laws are, the model laws in Paris are probably just as just as important as like the terrorism laws, like 70% tax. You know, like every show there's a, you know, like a marshal who's underage signing vouchers. It's like, you know, 70% of this, that, like the government's there, they're collecting. So, I mean, as much as I don't want that for New York, I think for the models it's important, but not for the government to take 70%. That's crazy, because the models will go home with like $100. That's like, and a T-shirt, but you can't eat clothes, so much for that. I mean, I'm sure they'll come up with some sort of edible, well, appropriately edible clothing. Because, you know, I've been down 7th Avenue.
This is one of my favorite pictures from the book.
Yeah.
Because it's like he's holding the dog up like one would hold up a dress to cover themselves, or like
I
a
mean,
towel.
man's best friend. He's showing his pride, full speed. Yeah, this was like, he just asked me. Like, yeah, at the beach, bird around, dog. Right. Everyone thinks it's Usher. I play along. It's not. But no, I think it's funny. The fact that he has his glasses on is hysterical at night. Come on.
I think the fact that he's holding a dog up to cover the fact that he's naked is hysterical.
Oh, well. Yeah, kind of.
Are we running out of steam? I think we should.
No, you know me. We've done this so many times. You love it.
Does anyone have any questions?
It's easy. I just want to know which film camera and what format are you using when you shoot film?
Did she sign a non-disclosure? No, I'm still like a T2, Contax, T2. High speed, green. But a portrait, you know, like nothing super wild. But I will do like a 3200, like Ilford, black and white. But usually with a T2, Fuji, and Lumex, Leica. Pretty broad, you know. It's not about technical, it's about, I think it's goes way beyond technical, like we talk about. I'm just still looking at these pictures.
So you said you work with a lot of brands that do direct to market for casting. Whenever you work with a brand that is trying to do see now buy now, changing from like 6 months from now you can buy what we're showing today because of social media and all that, you find yourself having a different look at who you cast, or do you just do either or the same?
Be more specific.
Well,
I always wanted to say that. You're saying the time between.
like, is there a difference in like who you pick to be in a show, or in like to show a product, if the product is direct to sale, or it's the traditional venture where you have to wait 6 months for it to be in stores?
To me, even everything's instant, right? I mean, even if it's, because even the client's gonna want to see it right away, even if it's not gonna be sold.
Well, the trend now is you can buy from the runway, is what it's
Right,
saying.
like opening
So
ceremony,
do you need,
for example, like
do you
that.
need to have models that look more like the target audience? Is that what the point that you're getting at? To do that sort of direct to market?
Like, I would assume, like, if I'm gonna do a direct to market, I would get Gigi Hadid to be in it because she has like 50 million followers. There's gonna be all that many more people interested in buying the product right now.
Right. Well, 50 million followers at 50K rate. You know, somebody like that, you would pay for that. You know, it's not. To me, I mean, that's. You mean as far as like a branding statement?
Yeah, like, would you circumvent the model that you pick, like the model you love, and you won't choose that model because they don't have enough, like, because of.
I think. Well, for me, followers and like, you know, that means not. I don't. That dictates nothing. You know, I think your work is the only thing that speaks for itself. Instagram's going to be around for like maybe just a few more years. So all your followers are not going to be there, right? Somebody's going to buy it or something. I don't know. I just can't depend on social media. I don't think. But then, I'm older. This didn't come from social media. Everything I did was straight off the street. My first social media experience was Nicola for Machete emailed me saying, do you want to shoot for Dazed and Confused? I think he was the first to really use, I'm sure everybody knows who he is, but yeah, I don't think using somebody of higher caliber, that's what you mean? Higher caliber? No, I don't think, no. Your brand aesthetic is who you want.
Do you get pressured by clients to?
Yeah, they want everything. So as like any client should. And you should accommodate them as much as you can, but it's our job to educate them. They need to understand, what it takes to book Bella. That's like a 3-4 day process. My casting team is over there too. I think booking Bella this week was like, it was like a...
She's shaking her head.
Yeah, it was like a boardroom meeting of like 15 people, 2 days long. It's like not, it depends how much time and money. And if Bella's not the brand, I don't think it's worth it.
Well, I think the other thing, I talk about this in my class at SVA, is that your casting can hijack your message. If you're doing a fashion story and suddenly you cast a celebrity versus a model, the celebrity comes with a certain amount of information and recognition, and that celebrity is going to hijack your story, and so that'll be like the number one piece of information that people are looking at, and then the clothes then become secondary. So you have to sort of think of that balance of what are you trying to put forth? Are you trying to say we're big enough to get Bella Hadid?
Right.
Or do you want people to look at the clothes and kind of look at an interesting casting? So, I think in some ways it can backfire.
That's I think my exact point.
Because Bella's fans like Bella. They're not necessarily going to buy everything that she's wearing. They know that she's being paid to wear these things. So you kind of have to think about it from that perspective also.
Yeah, and I don't believe the hype. It's kind of, yeah.
My question would be continuous of viewers, because how the runway show used to be for editors, so you want to impress and highlight your story for editors, and with the market in place, now you're trying to get a customer before necessarily editor has a critique,
And
it's like editorial and commercial becomes the same in photography, right? Like your commercial job is not your editorial sometimes.
well,
So how do you choose that message, or is it something now we have to look into and kind of make it?
I think your message has to be yours and recognized as only yours. So if you are gonna go with somebody of such a familiar face or name, you're almost affiliating yourself with all of those brands.
Not the name necessarily, but like the message of the runway show, like
I mean, I think I've taken kids that have not known at all and brought them to big brands because I know that they will sell the product, but also sell the lifestyle, and that enhances the model's caliber, which then also enhances the brand's credibility and caliber. Me, I came first. That's the problem. No. I think it's just like having a client that trusts, your creative vision and being able to communicate, and I guess really like almost sell the idea of how is this person going to be significant in the future. Like when I was bringing Luca around, it was like, oh, he's just a cute kid with big hair, Well, now he's making, multi-million dollars, and it's like people.
Kevin, will you cast me?
Yeah, runway ready. In that. Tom Ford. Yeah, I think it.
You did impress editors with Food by Air before you impressed market with that, right? The market was following, but
Yeah, but for Hood by Air was always an agreement that it was editor, like it was, we would alternate like editors front row to buyers front row, but then somebody like V Files, it's like I put like all the kids front row because it's a lifestyle. You know, it's whatever you're trying to communicate is, I think, should be your, like your focus on, I think, direction. But that's it's a tough question because sometimes you don't know who your your brand or client base is.
Well, and the fashion show has become like an editorial because it's speaking. It has to be a form of entertainment because you're speaking to the uninitiated as well as the editors and the buyers. And so you have to reach all the people that the fashion show is connecting with. You have to give them something to look at, not just clothes walking up and down a runway. I mean, is that what you're sort of getting at?
The question is that, all of that, and much more than that, because like, do you want to first establish like a lot of hard work for your name, photography, or any kind of visual, creative idea, and then listen to a client, and like you said, you have to educate, listen, but you already have a direction, or another path, right? Is like you learn as you go, and you constantly like, on your tiptoes. Oh, client is this, model that, and then you become your style and the name.
Oh yeah, of course, evolve, yeah.
Yeah.
Evolve to where you feel comfortable and you feel people recognize your aesthetic. So they'll see it and say, oh, that's you, if that makes sense. But I think for me, it's always, I think you should know your client, your customer, before you advertise or do anything, right? Or at least make one up, like an alien or something.
I have a specific question about females this last show. Um, I found myself actually paying more attention to what young folks do this last show.
Right.
I mean, not in a bad way, but he was obviously also wearing clothes that were in line with what was happening color scheme-wise.
And this is a great example about the designer choosing the casting completely opposite of where his brand direction could have been going. It's like I explained to him, you're limiting yourself because this is an opportunity for you to be
Can you
diverse.
just give us a little context for people who weren't at the show?
So yeah, a designer at the V File show, what did they style? I think whatever. But Young Thug wore the dress, full dress with like the hat on his album cover, which is groundbreaking. Absolutely. But the designer decided to use all white, blonde-haired, blue eyes, 6 feet, 28 waist. Like I've never had. I mean, I called him a racist like 50 times, but that's just because my humor. But I felt it was like an injustice.
Little Aryan casting?
Yeah, it's like I mean I respect a vision, but I can't. I don't think I could not
So
keep my mouth shut.
you did that casting for him?
Yeah. But of course, I slipped in a few stunts.
So was the young thug thing your decision? I was just kind of trying to find out if you did the casting, were you also casting him to wear something different than what the models were wearing?
Well, Young Thug was styled by V Files. Yeah, and then he wanted to style like one of the looks, but the stylist for V Files wasn't cool with it. So I was just like, do whatever you want, and he got up on the runway and just styled live and direct, which was great. It was a viral moment, and he looked fab. The model's face was still like focused, and his cuff was fixed. But that was, that's a good point as far as casting and branding. Should he have incorporated, people in the caliber of Young Thug, whether brown skin, white skin, whatever, but still swag, some sort of element of that. And I think it was an injustice for his own brand, but I don't know. I'm not a fashion salesperson. I just thought it was weird. That's a good question I want to ask Jason later.
Something I really love about your photography is that it conveys
I think. Oh.
The question was, she admires the intimacy of Kevin's pictures, and she wanted to know what kind of relationship that he has with his subjects.
I have long-term, ongoing relationships, so I think it's about that trust. And I think like if you really want to sell a product, you just be honest with people. Like, listen, I mean, it's crazy to say, but it's not like. They know I'm pushing boundaries. Everybody knows we're pushing it. But if you're like, oh, this editor is like super gay, act feminine, the guy's like, okay. It's not like that complicated if you're honest with people and like they know what to expect. It's not about like tricking them into. I mean, he's clearly a ballroom girl, but this picture, I'm like, oh, there's the donuts. But I do get what you're saying. It is about building intimacy, like friends. I mean, I'm sure lovers too, but majority friends. And, because it's like working with them for, like, this is almost 10 years of like revisiting a lot of the same people and having trust and knowing families. And, you know what I mean? You almost become like part of the family. And at this point, when they know my work already, so it's like they get, the minute I start shooting, it's like, that face. It's like, they get it. And then like my team is like a bunch of
Friends.
yeah, and fun.
The element of street casting, when you're working with friends and you're working with people you worked with before, you have that trust. It's easy to trust that they're going to show up and do what you need to do.
Wow.
Not always.
Not always. So what I'm most curious about is when it's a new face that you're street casting, how do you impress upon them the professionalism that's necessary to secure what you need to have done?
I mean, I have like a little bit of a spicy attitude, and I have an Uber account, so there's no excuse for anything. There's really no excuses for that. If they don't show up, it's a chop, and there's always somebody on standby. Because again, if you fuck up, everything's disposable. This industry, there's no tolerance for, any of that.
Which we know in the industry, but
Oh yeah, and that's what I think Mother and V Files and all of that is. It's about educating them, and not only about showing up on time, but beyond. I think, it's showing up on time is like you should just automatically know. Oh, there he is, late.
Speaking of showing up on
Wait,
time.
wait. Oh no, I won't go back to that picture. I'm so. Wait, I was gonna give a hug, but. Jeez. But yeah, I think.
that's which kind of goes to my point. Like sometimes you have to manage and leverage somebody you really want to be in the audience, and are they going to be there at the start? Are they going to come at the end?
Well, some need escorts. You have to have somebody kind of pick them up, drop them off. There's been times like, we've been, send him or Roz banging on models like windows. There's like Sunday shows are the worst. It's professional models show up less than street models.
Yes.
It's like, right. Just the mothers of 10. But yeah, I think, and that's what it is too, because it is about like further like educating them, because they don't come from like I didn't even know what casting was, like growing up. That just fell in my lap, and then, I think photography was like, it was, you believe it could happen, but it's not easy to happen, Like life's a roller coaster. It's like you have to deal with your real life, and then you have to deal with like the industry, and it's kind of a fuckery, but it's fun once you're in it.
Obviously, you like build
I think that's just my personality. My mother's like that. Mother Teresa. Like, every day just tell her everything. Like, it's like a confessional. But I think it's like a type A. Yeah, like, I think we're just very open, non-judgmental. Like, you have to accept everybody for who they are. Like, I mean, you can't really question people unless you're, like, genuinely interested. Like, I've asked people awkward questions all the time, but I don't ask them in a way that it would be offensive. It's more like I'm genuinely interested in this whatever, whether it is vitiligo or albinism or you have big feet. I don't know.
Do you like it, or is it distracting when you get a sense that your subjects are performing for you?
Then I just laugh a little bit. But I love a good performance. I love a good performance. I mean, if you don't perform, then that's like, I think performing, like, is the personality, the headless. You know, we say headless. Like, I love that uninhibited energy. Just, tone it down while we're working. But I love a wild child. You know, I mean, we're like the misfits. So if we're not disruptive and, doing things that make the old people, a little like, I don't want to say envious. Is it? You work for the... Yeah, well, I can't even say Condé Nast Mama.
Since you work primarily in film, what do you do with your reject photos? Do you keep them? Do you revisit them over time? Or do you ultimately discard them?
I've never
Good
thrown out a
question.
photograph in my life. Never. Ever. I've never thrown out a photograph. I have a storage unit. My life is a storage unit. Look at them. Yeah, I live in the trap. I still live in the trap. Not for credibility, just it's literally archive crazy. Like,
Do you have a system
I mean, I have a
of
memory.
organization?
I have somewhat of a memory. No, it's like I said, family album, so it's broken in, there's really no cross-referencing, let's just put it that way. But there is a system, and like, digitally, typed, but that's it. But it's like I just remember, like, I think there was one photo of the dead rat, because it was like, one of those photos that are like chance photos that you'll never, like, did I even take that? Remember? So I had to go through rolls and rolls and rolls. It was the one image I think we had a hard time finding the high res, but it's very rare because I don't know, it must have been like, fuck, my parents are here. I must have been dancing.
So an assistant can't necessarily go find a particular image because...
My assistants live with me,
Okay, so then they could.
but like, not by choice. They're actually indentured slaves. No, they're not. They're just like literally, like, I mean, for somebody like with me, the team they have to know me inside and out. I have a very distinct personality, and a very distinct way of working. Obviously, I bring on people who are sometimes too professional, and it makes the subjects or even my clients feel a little like, this isn't what we were expecting. Like, I'm like, oh, they want me to be professional. And then I show a professional, and they're like, wait, like, and, you want to grow, and you're trying all these things to grow and establish a business. But even being professional is, like, not. So, these guys.
So being professional is almost a turnoff for some people who have hired you.
Yeah. I think it's just more about, like, me being present. And then my team, like, really holds me down. I mean, pretty much, they have to memorize everything. Like Eli talks to my father. Like they work that closely. Like I'm not. No, I think that's the thing. The family, the team, everything is important. It's not about me. It's about like the importance, like what makes it happen.
One more question up here, and then.
So, professionally, what all do you do?
Who, all of us, or just me?
Like, you're like, what's
I do nothing professionally, but for work, I do. So, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm like, don't worry, Alex. I won't. You know, you're a high scholar. No, I think for me, it's like I'm like a cultural like curator. It's like anything that I see that I want to be a part of, that I want to create, anybody I want to collaborate with.
That's why you started taking pictures, correct?
Yeah,
we
I
talked
mean,
about
I-
in high school you couldn't play an instrument,
can't
but you
sk-
could photograph the band.
Right. I can't skateboard, but I could shoot a good skate video you know. It's really like the ticket, like to get in, it's armor. You know, and you know, I think when I'm shooting in the streets, it's like it is armor. It's people. I mean, I am like not soft looking either. Like I have a little bit of a Jafar look. So I think, you know, with the Jafar with the cameras is like, I think it just translates. Like maybe we should take this photo. You know, like he might steal our soul or get a nice photo. But I promise you, it's the photo.
You had a question?
Well, I think he actually asked the question. I mean, your answer being a cultural curator. My question was going to be, could you elaborate a little bit more on your various activities? You know, not just as a photographer, but as a stylist and as a casting person, and also being involved in the marketing of various.
Yeah,
Elaborate.
yeah, definitely. I think marketing, branding, is another big aspect of my job. I get hired a lot to do to brand and lifestyle brand and market for companies. So they come to me with the collection and they say, who's gonna buy it? Who do you think we should sell it to? And then it's you come up with the whole campaign in a sense, and you're telling them who their client is. You know, sometimes even price points and you know, sometimes clients hate you because the shoe, you know, it's so shitty. It costs you so much to make in Italy, but not for nothing. That needs to be made in China because it looks like shit. And like they don't want to hear it, but that's like our job, you know. I mean, I think that's like a complicated part because you don't want to tell another creative that's put so much of their own personal energy, work, investors. But these investors are like 50, 60-year-old men, and they don't know what's cool. So I think it's important to guide them, but also work alongside them.
Do you ever get the term cool hunter?
I don't do cool. I'm not cool. So the last thing they're gonna get is cool. I mean, I have cool people around me, but I don't think it's about cool. I think it's about being relevant. But to me, at the end of the day, everybody just wants to be acknowledged, accepted. You know what I mean? That's what it is. So I think if you could find a brand and a muse to work with that brand and watch them, give them a few weeks, like months to kind of create, like then I could tell you exactly what your runway is going to look like, what your next collection is going to look like, because I'm able to give you somebody to inspire you, you know, and to inspire your collection. And I think that's, I mean, like Boy Child with HBA or something like that. Like I think, you know, like Alexis is working now with Pat McGrath on her makeup collection. It's like I think these incredible artists still need inspiration. Like we always need inspiration, and I think being so up there, maybe they're afraid to ask because it's either you ask or you have a reference board of existing things. And you know, when I go into an office and see my photos on reference boards, it's flattering, but it's like you should have your own references. Right? cheap model. No, it depends. I mean, listen, I could like something on Tuesday that, I don't like on Wednesday. It varies, right? It's kind of like, it's mood, but it's the client, and the client's mind changes too because as they see more models, their direction could change, or, it's like so many elements to it. That's why you probably get so many like, oh, could you send them again, or fit to confirm, or it's like, how many times are you gonna call this girl in? Well, until she hopefully gets the job, right? Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah. Then direct email, not open call. Right. Yeah, I mean, the open calls are hard. It's like, I mean, we were like 10 hours, like 400 models, and I have to sit there and like, yeah. And most of them don't have books, so we're like, where are you from? Like, and that's the part I think I like, just talking and like meeting with people. Like, I mean, interesting people for the most part. No, they're all, I think it's important, like, it's almost like a fashion brand should have a brick and mortar store because that's your home base. That's where you learn exactly what your client wants, what's their fits, like what are they going for, but slowly disappearing. Oh, that was your other favorite diva. What were your favorites?
I've showed my favorite.
Oh, this one. Tyga.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
Stop.
Yield.
Oh, yeah. Merge.
Your astrological sign, I think she meant. When's your
Deer
birthday?
crossing.
When's your birthday?
Wait, where's Anna's not here? I'm on the cusp, they say. I'm an Aquarius. What does that mean? Did you just ask the question with no, like that was open-ended. I thought I was gonna find like, life's problems are about to be answered. At least tell me what I should eat for dinner. Like, what do Aquariuses eat? Are they fish or land, earth?
It's actually an air sign.
Oh, well, clearly. No, Alex, you've been amazing. She's had to deal with me a lot. And, you get the humor. And it's been truly an honor. And what you wrote is beyond humbling.
Thank you.
And a scholar and me. What were the publishers thinking? Well, you made it, you legitimized, no, I'm just kidding. No, but I do appreciate it, and it really means a lot, to be here, and Stephen, and everybody here. Like, super humbling.
Thanks, everyone,
Thank
for
you,
coming.
guys.